because a lot of times, made in India, I think it goes beyond just those words. Like there's such a history and generations of craftsmanship that exist. And we hear so much about German engineering or French perfumery. And I think there's such a beautiful, rich history in what made in India represents. And I wanted to show that in this beautiful luxury light. And I think, Sabyasachi in fashion has done such a great job. And I really wanted to create that space in skincare to just show how luxurious made in India can be.
In today's episode, we have Michelle, founder of Ranavat, an Ayurvedic skincare line and hair care line that is revolutionizing the industry.
Welcome to Building Billions, where we cover the risks and rewards of success.
Welcome. Welcome to Building Billions. Excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Katrina.
Of course. So walk me through this. You're now a beauty or skincare brand and hair care brand founder. How has that process been for you?
It's been great. It's been a 5-year journey, but really feel like so many parts of my life, whether it be my engineering background to working in finance, to being at a pharma company, being a mom. I mean, it's all really played into this experience. So it's been really cool.
What inspired you to get started?
Kind of what I hinted on earlier, in the sense that so many different parts of my passions and what I learned in school, combined with watching, my parents build their own business, after immigrating from India. I think a lot of that played into this desire to search for more and to see, South Asian inspired beauty be on the shelves of a place like Sephora. I mean, that's something that I just didn't grow up with. And finally, after having kids, really connecting back with my roots and prioritizing my culture, I really found that that's something that I wanted to bring to everyone. So I think that's really at the heart of the brand and what inspired me to start. I think what keeps me going is just the feedback from the community, the products themselves, like just how it's penetrated so many people's lives and how it reminds them of you. I mean, it's just really exciting to see it out into the real world. And that's definitely what keeps me going.
Now you've entered into a new marketplace where you are like telling people about Eastern philosophy and Eastern rituals. How has that been in this new landscape?
I think it's been really rewarding. I think there was a huge white space where, there wasn't, or, people knew about yoga and meditation. I mean, just to give everyone some background. So South Asian beauty and skincare and hair care and just really everything holistically ladders into something called Ayurveda. And that's kind of just in the way that traditional Chinese medicine took the place of, the ancient form of the industry of medicine. That's really what Ayurveda has done for India, and really, includes so much more than just beauty and hair. Many people already know about yoga, meditation, intermittent fasting, tongue scraping. I mean, I could go into it, but most of us, we may not know it's called Ayurveda, but have experienced some form of this. However, I think, we didn't really put those two and two together. So even if a lot of these traditions or practices are available in the mainstream, we didn't really understand where it came from and what the origin story was. And so here's an idea or a time where we can pair that beautiful, rich origin story with the actual product, treatment, experience, ritual. And I think that's really powerful because now we're telling the whole story and not just part of it.
And that's the beauty of Ayurveda, coming from an Eastern background as well. Like, you find the root and you go to the root and then you solve the problem instead of topically solving the problem. So there's this beautiful synergy in like all the practices and all the different walks of life. And growing up, you see it so much. What was the process of being of South Asian descent and like stepping into this space and like dominating it?
I mean, I don't think I came into it thinking about that in any way. I honestly feel like I just was solving a problem for myself. I didn't think like, oh, this is a $1 billion idea, or I want to create it because I can make a business out of it. Of course, I saw the potential in it, but really it was just a simple act of seeing that representation, seeing the effects or the efficacy of the products and the rituals themselves, and then kind of seeing this space for them to exist where they didn't before, changing the narrative. And that's really what, inspired me to come up with the luxury element of the line. Like I really wanted the full sensoriality, I think that's a word, to be portrayed.
You can make it a word. It's all
yeah, we're making it up. But, I wanted the like textures, because a lot of times, made in India, I think it goes beyond just those words. Like there's such a history and generations of craftsmanship that exist. And we hear so much about German engineering or French perfumery. And I think there's such a beautiful, rich history in what made in India represents. And I wanted to show that in this beautiful luxury light. And I think, Sabyasachi in fashion has done such a great job. And I really wanted to create that space in skincare to just show how luxurious made in India can be. And that's been really rewarding.
And you have gone through the luxury vertical, like within your product, looking from the bottle to the way you've done your branding to the actual communication of like a higher end response to your body. What has it been? Have you had a lot of moments in your building of your brand where you're like, was that the right choice?
No, I never second guessed the luxury positioning. Like that's something that when I started, it's really the lane that I wanted to be in, because that's really where I see this like culmination of the rich storytelling and the ingredients like saffron that I wanted to use, which is the most expensive spice in the world, to this like packaging. And that was always the story that I wanted to tell. I mean, Ayurveda, really, South Asian culture in general, there's a million ways. This is not something that one brand can bring to life. This is something that, there's thousands, I mean, even in India, hundreds of brands that represent the Ayurvedic space. I still think we're even differentiated in that market as well. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of the point. If someone else is doing it, I want to allow them to do that. I want to create my own vision. And luxury was just a thing that I wanted to redefine. Culturally driven brands can be luxurious, and India is so luxurious, and just that inspiration with the kings and the queens and the craftsmanship and the ingredients, like that was just such a rich story that I'm always falling in love with again and again. So I never envisioned it in a different way. And I'm really happy at how that's come across.
Having lived in India, I think for me, the misconception of India not being opulent is something that I don't identify with, because when you're there, the density and the culture, like the actual experience that you get, whether you're in Jaipur and you're watching like the colors and the vibrancy, and there's so many layers to it that makes it so valuable.
And I think I agree. And I think it's like, it's not just the palace, it's like the people behind that level of craftsmanship. So even when we think about the saffron serum, for example, it's so much more. I actually have it right here. It's so much more than the beauty of the bottle. Like this has,
which you did do a phenomenal job as someone who appreciates branding. Like you did a phenomenal job with it.
Thank you. But what's cool about it? It's like, it looks beautiful, but actually the rich history of what's in here is also really special. And like the hands that created it and the process is really just as equally as, beautiful as the packaging. So what's inside really matches what's outside. And that's where I think the beauty of India is. It's in that like our Kansa wand is made by a 6th generation Kansa house, an artisan. And how cool is that you're touching something that has been done, it's in their blood. And that's just something you can really appreciate when you see it, on your vanity. It's like, wow, that's a piece of history. That's something that this family has made their life's work. Like, it's amazing.
There's an artisan side to it too, like an artistic value to most things that are created there, that like when you go through some of the markets and you realize like what they've created, it's phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
And you can nerd out about it for hours. I do, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what was it like sourcing such incredible ingredients in North America?
So we source everything in India. So everything is made in India. And so we really stay true to, I think you couldn't really honestly replicate the products here in the US. Like it's just not possible, from the way that they're made in the copper vessels to actually getting the ingredients. I mean, it would be incredibly difficult to do that. And so I think that's kind of a cool point of difference that we have is, you're really getting that authentic feel, but then the packaging is something that's really approachable to someone that's not South Asian. That's really what it was made for, to be appreciated by the South Asian community, but also to be welcoming enough for others to really dive in head first into something that's authentic, but still looks beautiful on a modern vanity.
How has the bridging of the education gap been for your consumer? Because everyone can benefit from your products.
Yeah, I think it's been, numbers are such a universal level way of communication. So when you can say something like, in a clinical study, 100% of people, statistically noticed a reduction in fine lines and wrinkles, that's universal. And so I think in that way, it feels like because it's so results driven, we've been able to kind of play ball with so many of the other brands and speak the same language that they're hearing from other brands, whether they be clinical brands or clean beauty brands or really anything in between. Like we're able to compete because the product works. And then when you get into it and you see, how unique it is, the story that it tells, I've actually noticed so, I don't know, it's just really heartwarming to see like people are like, oh, this reminds me of this experience. And that's like people that didn't even grow up in India. And then people that grew up in India will have different things that it evokes. And so I just think it's really cool that somehow it's very familiar to a lot of people, even if they may not be from that culture. And I think that's really special because it means that people are connecting and this is becoming a mode for them to connect cross culturally, which is a really beautiful thing and something that I've always wanted to be a part of.
It's something that I've identified with. I always labeled myself as a third culture individual. And so now having things that bridge both worlds is magical. When you can say to someone, hey, this is founded in philosophies and structural elements from heritage, but then it doesn't have a barrier.
Yeah.
It's magical. You're doing something great.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. Can you share a pinch me moment on this journey that you've had?
Oh gosh. I feel like it's filled with so many of them, mainly because, I didn't really come in here to think that I was, trying to build something at the level that it has become. But I will say, just on the team, as we have our all hands call and it gets a little bigger and bigger, and just the quality of people that we have working on this brand being inspired and motivated every day to grow, and they see this opportunity in Ranavat. And many of them are not in South Asian descent. There are some that are, but it's really exciting to see a very diverse, unique group of people rally around this little dream that I had. Like sometimes I'm like, wow, how did I get so lucky to work with this amazing team? And yeah, it's just really fulfilling.
What are fundamentals to someone who was thinking about starting in your lane that you would caution them on or teach them about or educate them on?
Yeah, a big thing I see is, people wanting to be like other brands. And I think that that's something, you can get inspiration, but if you're going to do something that other people are doing, you're not in a white space just by definition of what you're using to kind of create the brand. And so that's kind of what I would urge people to do, is like really think about what's unique to you. The best you are a unique individual. There's only one person like you in this entire world. So leverage that. Leverage something, don't just look at someone else and be like, oh, well, they're succeeding, so I'm just going to copy that and do everything that, you could take inspiration. There's definitely ways that people have grown their businesses, but if you're doing something that's not unique, I feel like you're going to run into the same thing over and over again, which is like, what's your point of difference? And
you're going to end up paying for it, like in many regards. If you're not unique or you're not doing it for your own passion, then it shows. It will translate, whether it's on socials or somehow.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you were to describe your brand in 3 words, what would it be?
A royal ritual, I would say. Just very simple, but I just think it embodies the luxury of the brand, the fact that so many people come to us about a ritual, the experience and the feeling. So I think it's really fitting.
What is that feeling that you leave people with as a brand?
Just kind of coming into yourself more. So the feeling of calm, the feeling of your cup being filled, feeling like your skin and hair are improved. I think that that's a huge part of people's confidence. I want to create an alignment between who they are inside and what they see in the mirror, and bridging that gap, making people just look and feel their best. It's such a fun, beauty is just such a fun space because you see people's reactions. Like, oh my God, I got so many compliments when I used your serum. Like, people are complimenting on my skin. I'm like, oh, that's like literally the best feeling. So I love being a small part of that.
What's one misconception that people have about the beauty industry?
I think maybe people probably feel like it's like Mean Girls or catty. And it's honestly, I think anyone that works in the beauty industry is never going to go to another industry because it's actually the most fun. I think everyone in the beauty industry, they're so passionate, so nice. It's like, I don't know, it's just like a little secret in some ways. Like the people that know about the beauty industry, they'll never leave. And the people that don't know about it don't realize like how nice people are. Like, it's really fun.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Like good humans is nice to find,
Mm-hmm.
especially in a vertical.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your personal story? What's your background in this entire process? Tell us about you.
Sure. So my background is in industrial engineering. So I studied, 2 different engineering degrees, really, focusing on the science of it all. Then, as I hinted before, after college, I went to work at a financial firm. And then in 2008, when the crisis happened, I pivoted into the pharma industry. So working with my dad, manufacturing, sourcing, ingredient identification, quality management, product development, all of those things that you really want to put into a beautiful product. Those are things that I learned, except that it was about pharma ingredients, which is cool, but not as exciting as the beauty industry. So, that's when I started to think about, what is it that I might want to create. And, that's when I started experiencing a lot of postpartum hair loss and just seeing a lot of changes in my skin and hair. And that's when I just personally started to turn to Ayurveda, and seeing those results kind of put 2 and 2 together for me, that like, hey, maybe this is something that I can use my ingredient sourcing expertise to bring to life. And I wish that they could be sold at a place like Sephora. I wish Ayurveda was more spoken about or more well known. And so that's kind of how it all happened.
Absolutely. I when it comes to Ayurveda, there's so much that I wish people knew. When someone walks in and says their gut health is on fire or their like hair is falling out, there's so many tools, and it's wonderful that you've bottled it so that people can make it feasible in their lives. It's definitely a big deal what you've done, and it's pretty awesome. It's awesome to be the trailblazer in it.
Thank you. Can
you share a story about a challenge that you found, like a line that you had up against a wall?
Yeah. There's a lot of challenges. I mean, especially when it comes to building a team. And I think one of the challenges is like when you bring in some really good people, which I think is a good challenge to have, the bar is just so high. So when you're bringing on new talent, it's like you need to maintain that bar. And it's really hard to find people that are passionate about what they do. They have the specific expertise that you need, and then they connect with the whole team. So I just feel like we've actually we're a victim of our own success. We've created such a incredible team that we're really sensitive about who we bring into it and who we want to work with on a day-to-day basis. And so but when we find the right person, it's almost like an instant magnet. They connect and we can't imagine our world without them. But it's definitely a challenge when you're trying to grow the business. You have to hire talent, but you have this goal of we can't let our standards down. So it's a little bit tough. It takes time.
And the humans do translate into the product too. So like having a team like moment where you're like, that maybe not a fit will translate into everything else. So it's such a big, important thing to address. I think I heard it from Netflix where they were like, hire slowly, fire fast.
Yes, that's what they say.
Yeah.
I don't know if
And
it's,
so
but yeah, I've heard it before. And I agree with that. I think that's absolutely true. And I also think like as you grow the team, there's this like 1+1 is more than 2 kind of feeling that you want. You want people to really click and connect and want to work cross-functionally. And that's kind of the tricky part. But what's been really good is we've been able to bring on some really great people. So there's like very little micromanaging that happens. It's like
so nice.
when like the creative team is shooting, it's like I don't approve the mood board. I don't look at anything because I know that I hired the best person for the job. And so it just
that's so nice for your brain. Like your brain actually gets a moment.
Well, then I'm focusing on other things, but it is good, to not have to focus on every aspect of the business and trust the team that, you created and the experts that are there to bring that part to life.
Walk us through a typical day. What does that look like for you?
Every day is different. I mean, the beginning of the week, I was in Vegas for a conference, which was really cool just to kind of see what's out there. It's called Shop Talk. It was really valuable. And at that time, a typical day was, there. Today I love Fridays because I always have a little more flexibility in my schedule. Went to the warehouse, connected with the ops team. We have a fun all hands call. I like to schedule a lot of calls in the morning, especially with UK and Europe. So typically I'm doing that at that time. I mean, it's a pretty action-packed schedule between travel and just the work that we're trying to do in terms of the products that we're launching, working with Sephora, growing the brand, adding people, interviewing takes time. There's just a lot of time in the day. Like it flies by.
It does. What was global expansion like for you?
It's been great. I mean, I think to see the brand translate across so many different countries is really phenomenal. And I see so much opportunity in strengthening that. I think it's really tough to maintain because, we launched in London, in the UK in general, and had such an amazing response. I haven't gone there in maybe like 6 to 9 months, and I can already see like, oh man, we have to go there again. Like you have to continuously feed these regions, right? Like you can't just be in the US and think you're going to grow in the UK. Like you have to be there. You have to dedicate that time. You have to have a whole strategy, a PR team, influencers. It's not like you can put your product on the shelf and think that the work is done. And so, it takes a lot of time and energy. So it's been really fulfilling to see the brand proliferate around the world. But at the same time, I think we're also trying to be mindful of like, okay, maybe we need to slow down and dig deeper make sure that we're able to support UK, US, and Canada in a very high touch way, because that's going to set us up for success to grow in these other regions that we love and want to expand to. But we don't want to just throw things on a shelf and like have an okay launch. Like we want to do it in a really big way when we're able to do that.
What was the biggest obstacle that you saw along the way?
For global expansion?
Just in general as a product launch.
Honestly, there wasn't really too much in terms of obstacles. I think it's honestly the fun part when you're launching the product and you get to go to a different country and you get to, it's really exciting to see it on the shelves of Harrods or Holt Renfrew in Canada. So, I mean, of course, there's a whole logistics end that's always a little bit tough, but I feel like we have a really great team on that front. So thankfully, that's been pretty smooth.
How proud has your dad been throughout this whole
Oh,
process?
he's the best. I mean, my dad is like the star of the show in so many of our videos. And yeah, he's just like taught me everything I know. And, I don't know if he's like said in so many words, like, I'm proud of you, but you could really
Okay, he's
see,
a South Asian dad. They don't do
yeah,
that.
they don't say that, but I actually think his actions are so much more like telling. Like, he flies with me to India. Anytime I go to India, he'll like not let me go alone. He's like, I'm going with you. I'll take time off of work and he'll go with me to India. And I mean, he's been there every step of the way. Like, anything I tell him, like, I want his help on, he does. So, walk into the warehouse and he's immediately stickering things and, telling people to do it in this way or do it in that way. And I mean, it's awesome. Like, I think those are all ways that he's really impacted my journey.
It's really nice to hear, because I think oftentimes it's not the verbal affirmation that we get, it's more the through action.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see. Was he your biggest inspiration growing up, or what was?
Both of my parents, honestly, my entire family. I feel like I'm really lucky. I can talk to my sisters about work. I can talk to my mom, my dad. Like, they all encourage me in different ways. They're huge supporters. Like, my sister will still go on the website and order product and send it and as a gift, anytime she has a gift to give, she'll like go on my website and order something. So I mean, my mom's like technically the number one customer in Shopify still to the day. So yeah, it's really cool.
That's a good mom.
Yeah, she's been supporting in so many ways. And, I think it just feels like I feel really lucky for that.
That's wonderful to hear. What do you think? Have you seen a bigger lift on e-com or in retail? Like, which is accelerating for you?
I think I think the whole point is like, we just want to grow the pie, whether it's people shopping in retail or people coming to our website. We're really happy with all the customers that we have and just really grateful. I don't think, sometimes I think success is really relative. If you said, I have this goal to be $1 billion company next month and I don't do that, like, yeah, I could say I didn't meet my goal, but I could also just look at the people that are coming and be really grateful and thankful for that. And I think that's really honestly what we've been doing. I just think about ways to improve, do more with what we can, provide a better experience to our customers. And I know all those things will ultimately result in sales, but I don't start thinking about sales and working backwards. And in terms of channels, whether it's our DTC or retail, like, I just want the customer to be able to buy the product, whether they want to get it on our site, whether they want to walk into a Sephora. To me, it's just about delivering that experience in the most seamless way.
What has been the most exciting moment that you've had in this journey?
I mean, the Sephora launch, I have to say, like, that was a pretty big dream. And the fact that actually happened, sometimes I don't believe it. And they've been a pretty awesome partner. And it feels really cool to be a part of that, like, small group of people that sell at a company that is just like excellence in every single way. Like, every person that works there is so impressive. Their drive, their passion. You just know you're working with the best when you work with them. And I think it forces you to elevate your game to that level. And so I love that challenge.
I've seen you on social media quite a bit. What has that been like for you, being a bit of the face of the brand in that process?
Oh, it's been really fun. I mean, I feel like I don't do anything that's not authentic to me. So, I feel like I love it. I love interacting, love seeing people's questions, comments, concerns sometimes. And I love knowing about that so we can address. I mean, every part, good, bad, everything in between. Like, it's so nice to just be in the middle of it, experiencing it all just because I want to know. I want to know what's happening because that's the magic of the brand.
Relay a story to the audience of working in the brand and a moment that you had where you were like, aha, I did it. This is it. This is it. This is that moment.
I mean, I really do think I have to go back to the Sephora thing, because that was always when I started the brand. I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be cool if, hair oil, instead of being, at the bottom of a shelf in an Indian grocery store, if it could be more accessible in a luxury, store like Sephora, like how cool would that be? And so that, I did feel like I did it, but I also feel like, well, now that's the beginning of another journey. We're a small brand at a huge store like Sephora. We've got to grow. We've got to level up to this opportunity. And so it's also a moment where, like, wow, we're small again. We're ready to start all over. And that's really cool. It's really nice to feel like there's another challenge ahead of us.
What is that landscape going to look like for the next year to 2 years for you?
Really growing, expanding the team, doing more work around just getting more eyeballs on the product. I think what's awesome is we have such a great platform. People love the saffron serum. They love the hair serum. Every single SKU, honestly, is really, really productive. So I feel like I know we have such a great assortment, and we have a great team behind it, and we have a great message. Like, we have so many things going for us, but we don't have the brand awareness that we need. And so now it's kind of the fun part of starting to share the brand on a bigger level and seeing what that impact is going to be. And I don't know, I know we can do it because we've proven it in a small scale. And now it's just all about getting the word out, which is really fun.
Well, you have the problem oftentimes that I see is that people in general don't have a quality product, and then they try to market. But you have a product that has repeat purchase, and so, like, you have actual people that once they adopt your product, they love your product. Like, I love your product. We love your product. And so once someone actually uses it, utilizes it, sees it on their shelf because it's also beautiful, then that repeat is there. So then just pushing it in front of people and getting people to actually understand the message is all you need to do. That's
exactly. And now we have a team. So if, let's say, we had, a huge influencer mentions it as their favorite all-time product, well, now we have a team that's able to meet that demand, that's able to, like, do something. I mean, had that, and I would have loved if it happened, within the first 5 years, that would have been great. But we've just never had, we've had awesome moments. We've never had any big viral moments. And I think that's almost a good thing, because we've had to work for every single follower, for every single customer. And so much of it has just been like organic friends telling family members or friends about it, which is awesome. But now if we want to scale and take this to the next level, it's for sure going to be about, hopefully having some of those in our future. But yeah, some things just come with time. So it's been really great being patient, building that platform. And now it's just about scaling it.
Well, I found that I found your brand I was flying through London to get home. And on the way, I got your Harrods post from your account.
No way. That's so cool.
You walking into the Harrods, and I was like, oh, I identify with that. I understand that. Let me stop off and buy some and then head home. And so on the way, I picked up some, and it was a beautiful moment of really connecting with you. So I find that sometimes not having the virality allows us to see you. And then once we see you, we get to know you, then the virality can come, and that's wonderful.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's, in the long run, it's always better to go the slow road, where you're actually just building one customer at a time and growing your brand. I mean, it just takes a long time. It's not an easy thing to do, but I feel like we've done it for 5 years. So it's really exciting to now feel like, okay, we're in this moment where things can grow from here, which we're excited about. But as I said before, we're really grateful about where we are even today.
But that also fills the manifestation cup, right? Like, having that gratitude to be on that level and being like, I really feel this, but now I have some things I want. I have some energy that I'm going to put towards it.
Oh,
and I can see that from you. Like, even saying, like, now you're a new brand, a small brand in a big retailer. Like, you have that energy of like, no, I want to be the big
Oh
one
yeah,
in there.
I feel like I'm very motivated, and not again from like a sales perspective. I just think we
Not a
have,
capital motivation. Yeah.
yeah, we just have what, like, I just think this little serum and this brand just deserves its moment. It deserves to be exposed and people to experience it, because I really feel like we're sharing something that is authentic to who we are, and it's really different. Like, I just think the strongest thing we have is point of differentiation, and I feel like it's just not like anything people can experience in any other way. So that gets me
So
really
walk me
excited.
through the product then. If someone is listening to this and they've never experienced your product, tell me about it. Tell me the story of your product
So, I
and
mean,
what it
it
does for
is
them.
like, as I said, nothing you've ever experienced before. I mean, the saffron serum, if you've been to India, then you may have experienced something similar, but not exactly the same. Because what we do is like everything is a bit modernized. So when you think about our saffron serum, which is made in copper vessels over an 18-day period with real saffron and adaptogens, you're just experiencing this part of history, but it has the clinical results to prove its relevance as to why it levels up your vitamin C, why and how it brightens your skin. And so I think when people experience it, they're just kind of like taken on this journey, whether it's someone connecting with saffron itself or someone that doesn't experience saffron, but it's a new memory that they're creating. Either way, it's so calming, and it's just something you can't get anywhere else.
I like it. Which product is your baby? There's always one.
Well, everything, honestly, our line and our assortment is so tight. So there's not anything that, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Like, I use every single product all the time. The brightening saffron serum is the number one. I mean, it drives so much of our customer acquisition, because I think that's what like people come to. Then as they start experiencing it, I think they start to go broader into the line, and people are just like, wow, this is like a treasure trove. Like, it just keeps getting better and better, like as I start experiencing and layering this whole ritual together, because I did put it together like a symphony. We don't have two of the same product, we don't have two toners, we don't have two masks. It's like everything has a way. Like, if the saffron serum is a little more herbaceous, then we've got the jasmine mist to kind of balance that out, or the cleanser is a very light, creamy texture versus the richness. So, everything has a reason that it exists. So as you kind of discover the line, you get a better and better appreciation for how everything plays together.
It almost seems like you just took me on a journey for the product, and that's lovely. It seems like there's an actual ethos within every single one and a
Oh, yeah,
reason why you use a product.
absolutely.
And so if you were to summate why someone, like, what is the purpose of your product? What does it help them with?
So, better skin and hair. I mean, we have definitely pioneered when it comes to hair care. The first ever Ayurvedic bond strengthening shampoo and conditioner. So it's clinically proven to strengthen hair. 66% of people notice a reduction in hair fall. So if you're seeing a lot of hair in the drain when you're shampooing your hair, you should definitely try the shampoo conditioner. It's incredible. And when you pair that with the hair serum, it's like beautiful ritual. So, I mean, honestly, it's just all results, results, results. Like, that is what people can expect. They can expect better skin, better hair. And, it is the whole feeling and uniqueness of the line is really just icing on the cake.
Especially postpartum, I have experienced the hair loss. That is not enjoyable. Like,
Yeah.
that would solve a lot of needs for a lot of people, and that's pretty
Yeah.
great.
And I think like men too, like just the emphasis of maintaining great hair and scalp, that's something that's really top of mind. And we did like scalp tests and clinical tests on this phenomenon, and I think it'd be really helpful for guys too. And that's something that we want to get better at, is like messaging a little more broadly, because
I think in the hair care vertical, especially, men are neglected a little bit.
I think men are neglected in general in the beauty industry. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to really speak to them because they have skin to skin. You have the same needs. And, I just want to make sure that they know that our product works for them too.
I think there was a study done that mentioned that when someone is looking for a partner, they actually look to hair first and then everything
Oh,
else.
that's so
It's an
funny.
interesting.
Well, guys, if you're listening, get that shampoo conditioner for her.
It'll increase your odds. I don't know about your personality, but the rest it'll increase.
Exactly.
Might be contingent on that part, but they can improve that. What has been the biggest mistake that you see people doing in their skincare routine or their hair care routine that you would advise them to steer?
I mean, this is so simple, but if you ask anyone in the beauty industry, they're going to say this. It's not reading the directions. I'm telling you, yes, skincare is somewhat complicated, and, we're always here to help provide, guidance and concierge service to help you pick out what you want. But there's some people that are just like, I've been using this in this, I don't know, I don't have a great example, but it's I've been leaving the mask on for 40 minutes or something. And it says specifically, use it for 2 to 5 minutes. So it's just little things like that. Just read the directions. You may think you know how to use something, but you don't know what the ingredients are. Just read the directions. And then I think for great brands, they will have some type of great customer experience. So don't be shy. Reach out to the customer experience and be like, hey, I bought these 4 products. This is my skin type. How would I use it? And then, you'll get the answer that you need.
It is actually funny to talk about the directions. Oftentimes people don't even read directions on how to make food or how to do something.
No, I know. And I feel like we've all done it and it's fine. But, I think sometimes it's
it makes it better when you do actually follow directions. You don't bake without actually following the directions. Otherwise you have some horrible muffins.
Exactly.
Do the same with your face. A big part of it, I think, I've done that with teeth whitening. I completely did not read the instructions, thought I had to leave it on there for too long. Very bad idea.
Exactly. So just simple, read the directions.
Yeah. And it takes a while to develop your instructions, and a lot of science goes into it. So you as well enjoy that. Okay, well, is there anything exciting launching or coming up for you in the near future?
Well, we really want to do a lot of community events. So super excited about, going to New York and London again, and hopefully Canada. That's just a huge part of our community and making sure that we're connecting with everyone. So definitely stay tuned for IRL moments. I'll definitely be flying around and just having fun with the whole community. And it's one of my favorite parts of the job.
Any takeaways you want to leave anyone with?
I would say if there's anything that you connected with or want to know more about, just send me a DM on Instagram at Ranavat. That's my favorite thing to do, connect with you. So feel free to jump on, be a part of our community, and I would just love to hear from you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a great conversation. I look forward to more.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.